Three strikes and still beating. I am A.K. Tyagaraja. And yet, the clock to get back to work started ticking. Even before I left the hospital, I couldn't shut it off. New job, new management, and me, fresh out of another dance with death. So I told my boss that I only needed 2 weeks off. Even though my boss, and even his boss, told me not to worry about my job, that I should focus on recovery. I couldn't help it. I was terrified. Single income family, 2 kids still in school, a big mortgage. Stability wasn't a luxury, it was survival. So I pretended like I was okay. Put on my I am fine mask. I decided I'd go back quickly. In fact, I was already checking email and Slack during my 2 week recovery break, just to prove I was still in the game. Nothing says team player like answering a Slack ping when you're wondering if your $50,000 chest battery is about to fire. Looking back, I should have taken a year off. A whole damn year. Doesn't almost dying earn you that? Don't you get a vacation package after visiting purgatory and then coming back? During that year off, I could have gone on tour, giving guest lectures. So you died. Now what to do? A masterclass in postmortem time management. First slide. Don't collapse in the middle of a speech contest. Not a good look. But instead of that, I rushed back. Because fear, money, and ego are a hell of a combination. The 2 weeks at home were rough. I was parked on the couch most of the time. Lungs weak from pneumonia. Working that little contraption they gave me in the hospital, the spirometer. It even smelled faintly like plastic, like something out of a toy bin. Honestly, it looked like a toy my daughters played with when they were toddlers. This is supposed to be a medical equipment? Is this a fucking joke? But 2 puffs in, and I was gasping, like I'd just climbed Everest. The insurance company even sent a physical therapist to the house for my back. That was kind of nice. He had me stretching, twisting, doing little routines to loosen up the muscles, beaten to hell during CPR. Every move felt like a reminder that I wasn't close to normal. So now I had my spirometer, my PT exercises, my regular exercises, my meditation. Where exactly do you find time to rest and recover with all this going on? Every day felt like a full-time job of just trying to build myself. I started work. First with Zoom calls, trying to get back in the flow. Only 5 months into the job, I was still learning, still proving myself. But now, I also had to prove I could physically and mentally do the job despite my condition. Every afternoon, I was sneaking in naps just to keep going. Since I couldn't drive, I took Uber everywhere, and I made sure every Uber driver heard my cardiac arrest story. I probably startled a few of them. Fortunately, none of them were startled enough to crash. One time, I had to go to Seattle to present to the local sales team. I got there early enough so I didn't have to stress, and the meeting room was on the eighth floor. I was getting set up when I heard the fire alarm, and my heart sank. 8 flights of stairs. Could I even do it? I was just recovering. Would my device fire if I overexerted? I didn't know what triggered it exactly. It's not like they handed me an ICD owner's manual. I started going down the dark stairwell with 1,000 other people. The air was hot and stale, filled with the sharp smell of sweat and dust. The echo of footsteps and muffled voices bounced off the concrete walls. Emergency lights flickered, just enough to make the descent feel like a horror movie. And I kept thinking, if I pass out, how will EMS even get to me? Would I end up as a headline in the Seattle Times? Middle aged, Indo American software professional collapses in stairwell. But I kept going. My ribs started hurting. My legs were weak. Still, I was determined. I'll never run a marathon, but this was my marathon, and I was going to finish it. Finally, daylight. I stepped out of that stairwell and felt like I'd just dashed through the finish line tape. Crowd cheering, confetti falling, except there was no tape, no confetti, nobody cheering. Nobody had the faintest idea what I had just gone through. But I knew, so I gave myself an imaginary gold medal and a Purple Heart. Anyway, as if all this drama was not enough, I also decided to learn the saxophone. Yeah, I told you earlier I'd explain. So here it is. I needed something outside of home and work to take my mind off of things. So I decided to learn a musical instrument. It wasn't my first attempt. I tried guitar, I tried piano, multiple instructors, same result. I sucked so bad, they basically fired me. But this time, I said it's going to be different. I was going to be a maestro. I thought, what instrument would make me look cool? And I picked the saxophone, one of the biggest, hardest instruments to learn. I found an instructor and took weekly lessons. The rest is history. It's been 6 years and I'm still playing do, re, mi, fa. Anyway, I continued to work, exercise, socialize, even went on a couple of short trips with the family. But I was physically recovering, mentally, I was struggling. The attending psychiatrist at the hospital had started me on antidepressant and PTSD meds. I continued them for a while, but the side effects were brutal. I had survived, but living was a struggle. Okay, I would survive because my daughters needed me. Thanksgiving, Christmas, they rolled around. And just like the previous year, I tried to get into the festivities. Then New Year came, and it was 2020. I was hoping against hope that things would finally brighten up. In late February, I went to Las Vegas again to attend the company's sales kickoff, just like the previous year. The first couple of days were the usual sales stuff. But then we heard stories of some attendees getting sick. On the final day keynote, our president announced, "There's a strange virus going around. Out of caution, we'll switch from buffet meals to boxed meals." Nobody thought much about it. I came back home exhausted. A few days later, word started trickling in. Colleagues from the Vegas trip were getting sick. At first, it felt distant, like gossip. But then, within weeks, the headlines hit closer. My city, my state, my country, the whole damn world. By March, everything slowed to a crawl. Flights cancelled, offices shut down, streets empty. The world didn't quite stop, but it stumbled. COVID-19. And just like that, my fragile recovery collided with a global pandemic. As if my heart wasn't enough of a problem, now the whole planet needed an ICU. Suddenly, survival wasn't just my story, it was everyone's. That's the episode. If you have survived something and this hit a nerve, rate it, review it. Let the podcast gods know that the survivors are still alive and kicking. Beaten by life, still beating.